Welcome back to the Mage Meetup, where you listen to a wizard talk about the things he likes and hates in gaming, or at least whatever's going to be left of it after the gaming industry season lore is done getting character deaths in the form of reasons to give a shit about gaming at all anymore. It has been a pretty eventful last 48 hours in the gaming world as of this recording. Obviously, a pretty eventful last 2 months with everything going on, but the overlords of the economic world have seemed to just put the entire financial state of the globe on PS5 fidelity mode because they have turned the prices just as high as they possibly can. Because console fans' ears are undoubtedly still ringing over the news that the current generation of Xbox consoles are seeing $80 to over $100 of a price increase. Then the peripherals are seeing like $5 to $10 increases, changes effective immediately. Xbox also announced that they'd be following suit with Nintendo's domino effect that they started with the pricing of their first-party games reaching $80 starting later this year, or excuse me, $79.99, because these companies have to use whatever wordplay tricks they can to turn dog shit into rosemary. And then on top of all that, Grand Theft Auto 6 got delayed into the middle of next year, which admittedly falls directly in line with Rockstar Games' track record for every GTA game that ever existed, but still, a bunch of casual gamers probably don't have like a saving grace to have at the end of the year within all this insane pricing going on, so there's probably a lot of discouragement in that regard. And with the way that everything is just seeming to play out, if you still care to enjoy this hobby throughout all the turbulence of what life is likely going to look like in the next couple of years and how hard it might get, I just think that it is a perfect time to just make peace with gaming and not pay these insane prices if you truly just don't want to for any of these new releases or consoles that are coming out, because I just don't think it's a good time to press square to doubt on any game purchases going forward. Now, I've already talked in full detail on why you shouldn't pay full prices for games, or even why playing one game at a time is much more fun and beneficial, so I won't, go hard in the paint retreading old ground, but I just want to be the wizard on your timeline to remind you that dusting off that old Wii at your grandma's house and playing like 100 hours in Punch Out is still a much worthy thing to do in 2025 and beyond. Well, maybe not 100, those voice lines get annoying sometimes. Because just the other day I went into GameStop looking for some action figures and I saw a sight that just made me smile from ear to ear, because they have an entire display section of PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, there was some GameCube games. It was like 8th gen and below titles just on a full rack of display that I haven't seen in my local GameStop in literally years. Obviously, GameStop has their retro rebranding that they're doing to select stores, but none of those are in my hometown, so I didn't expect to see all these old games, or at least the magnitude of what I saw at my local GameStop. And they had some really amazing titles like Final Fantasy X, X2. I saw a bunch of SmackDown vs. Raw titles, just a bunch of classic games at decent pricing. I won't say the best pricing since, this is a store and they have to mark it up just a little bit more to get a good profit on it compared to like eBay or something. But the associate told me they're actively buying old collections because they're in demand for some retro titles, because people are just trying to escape from the entire landscape of what gaming has turned into and go back to the base of just having fun ass games. And if you've been in the vicinity of any social media outlet, you would know that the Elder Scrolls Oblivion remaster is making insane rounds on the internet, with old and new gamers alike either discovering or rediscovering how amazing this 2006 game is and just getting lost in it and finding just how fun it was to play it. A remaster that comes on the Xbox Game Pass that's pretty cheap, right now at least, or $50 on its own, which isn't the best price, at least, for a remaster in my opinion, but it's still a decent price compared to the $79.99 that the industry is going to be played with in the next couple of months. And hell, if you really want to save a buck, you could easily just seek out the original port of the game that came out for the 7th generation consoles, or even on PC, that's way cheaper compared to any, counterpart. But outside of all that, even still, I can't really speak on the future of first-party games since they're all likely going to get hit with the tax of $80, and even some of the consoles 5 years into the current generation probably going to get price hikes, with the PS5 following the Xbox soon likely. But if you already own one of these consoles or still plan to get one, some of the best games of the generation are already out and discounted from their full price tag, and will give you a really just rich experience for a long ass time until you're ready to make the shift into your next gaming adventure, whether you want to play the full price or again another game that is discounted from its original price tag. Like one of my favorite games of all time from this current generation, Baldur's Gate 3, while it tends to stick to its $60 price tag for most of its lifespan, really worth that price as well, In recent years, I've seen the game go down to $45 so many times on all platforms that I just think it's a no-brainer to get if you have like one of these newer expensive pieces of hardware and just want a game that takes advantage of it and still gives you just so much gameplay that you'll be playing for literally months if you play it non-stop. Or even if you have like one day out of the week, that game can last you literally years. It's so good. Maybe you don't even care to embark on a new experience and would much rather just go on one you're already comfortable with, or one that you're just having so much fun when you replay it over and over again, which I think replaying some of your favorite titles is also a really viable thing to do in the current landscape of gaming, since feeling like a sage in your favorite game world or like a master at everything is one of the most coolest feelings ever, and really a testament to how committed you are to a game, since it usually takes a long ass time to get there, usually like years of playing the same title. But dialing it all the way back to the grand scale of everything going on right now, it is a pretty shit hand for some of these companies for what they have to deal with in their pricing, just because of the economic changes that they have no control over. So they have to force some of these price tags on a lot of these peripherals or even games. So while it is unfair to some parts of the equation, I do think that this new higher pricing just highlights how out of touch the gaming industry prices have been just in general for the last like decade or so, with some games not being worthy of that full price tag of what it used to be, and definitely not what it is right now. And with that, I don't want my argument to get dissolved or confused along the way. I don't think that all new games coming out are just completely ass, or even that there's some outliers that aren't worth that $80 that would just be one-of-a-kind games that changes your whole perception on what this entire industry has to offer. I'm sure that they exist, or at least they will exist in the future. But with all the gamer mistreatment, all the lackluster results that led up to the point now where we're having these price hikes forced down our throats, major pause, it has highlighted to many that this hobby is simply a luxury and can easily be cut off in the grand scheme of what you have to pay for in your monthly bills. So I just think that if you still want to enjoy gaming, there are so many good ways to go about doing it nowadays that won't have you breaking the bank.